The year was 2018, and I was working for the local paper doing obituaries and fluff pieces, almost on the verge of giving up my dream of becoming a successful YouTube creator. My channel had been up for years, filled with various projects from travel vlogs to quirky short stories. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't break through the noise of the internet. Desperation had started to claw at the edges of my ambition. One evening, as I sifted through my emails, I came across a message that would change everything. It was from an anonymous sender, simply labeled "The Demonology Documentary." The email contained an intriguing proposition: to create a documentary about a small, forgotten town named Wickerbrook, known for its dark history of witch trials, exorcisms, and other supernatural occurrences. The sender claimed that Wickerbrook was a goldmine of untold stories, hidden beneath layers of secrecy. They offered access to a wealth of confidential documents, eyewitness accounts, and interviews with the town's residents, all willing to share their chilling experiences with the supernatural. My curiosity was piqued. A demonology documentary could be the breakthrough I desperately needed. It was a genre that had garnered a massive online following, and the promise of exclusive content from a town shrouded in mystery was too tantalizing to resist. Ignoring the nagging feeling that this might be too good to be true, I decided to accept the offer. Within days, I found myself on a cross-country flight to Wickerbrook, a town that seemed to exist outside of time. It was nestled deep within the woods, far from any major city, with a hushed atmosphere that sent shivers down my spine. My first meeting with the anonymous sender, who introduced themselves as Mr. Blackwood, was conducted under the cover of darkness. We met in a dimly lit, old-fashioned tavern on the outskirts of town. Mr. Blackwood was an enigmatic figure, his face hidden beneath the brim of a wide hat, casting deep shadows over his features. He spoke in hushed tones, promising me unparalleled access to the town's secrets. As I delved into my research, I became increasingly aware of the eerie undercurrents in Wickerbrook. The townsfolk were wary of outsiders, their eyes filled with mistrust as they reluctantly shared their stories. I heard tales of cursed artifacts, haunted houses, and unexplained disappearances, all tied to a malevolent force that seemed to lurk just beyond the town's borders. The more I uncovered, the more I realized the danger of my undertaking. I was playing with forces I didn't understand, delving into a world where darkness held sway. But my desperation to make a name for myself on YouTube overrode my instincts of self-preservation. I began filming interviews with Wickerbrook's residents, capturing their chilling accounts of encounters with the supernatural. Every conversation sent a shiver down my spine, but I pressed on, driven by the pursuit of a story that could change my life. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the town embraced the encroaching darkness, Mr. Blackwood took me to an old, dilapidated mansion on the outskirts of Wickerbrook. It was rumored to be the epicenter of the town's supernatural activity, a place where exorcisms had been performed and demons were said to linger. The mansion was a crumbling relic of the past, its walls covered in faded wallpaper and its rooms filled with decaying furniture. I wandered through its eerie hallways, my camera capturing every creak and groan of the ancient structure. Shadows seemed to move on their own, and whispers echoed through the empty rooms. As I descended into the basement, my heart pounded in my chest. This was where the exorcisms had taken place, where the darkness was said to be at its most potent. The air grew frigid, and I could feel a malevolent presence bearing down on me. Then I heard it, a voice, soft and sinister, beckoning me deeper into the darkness. I followed the voice, my camera's light revealing a sinister pentagram etched onto the basement floor. It pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and the air was thick with a nauseating stench. Before I could react, a sudden force seized me, lifting me off my feet and slamming me against the wall. My camera fell to the ground, its lens capturing a distorted image of the entity that had ensnared me. It was a grotesque creature, a nightmarish amalgamation of flesh and shadow, with eyes that seemed to pierce my soul. It whispered words of ancient power, promises of fame and fortune, if only I would submit to its will. Fear coursed through me, and I realized the true cost of my ambition. I struggled against the entity's grip, calling out for help. Miraculously, the townsfolk had followed me to the mansion, alerted by the eerie events unfolding within. They arrived just in time, performing a hasty exorcism that banished the malevolent entity back into the shadows. I was saved, but the experience had left an indelible mark on my soul. It was over and I couldn't process it actually happened. So quick from terror to safety, like it never happened. I returned to my home, shaken and changed. The demonology documentary, once my ticket to fame, had become a cursed endeavor, a reminder of the darkness that lurked in the pursuit of ambition. I never shared the footage from that night, nor did I complete the documentary. Instead, I turned my channel in a new direction, focusing on positive content that celebrated life's wonders, rather than delving into its darkest corners. Wickerbrook and its secrets remained hidden, a chapter of my life that I had no desire to revisit. I had narrowly escaped the clutches of the supernatural, and the price of fame no longer seemed worth the risk. As I closed the chapter on my ill-fated demonology documentary, I was left with a haunting truth. The pursuit of ambition could lead one down a treacherous path where the line between fame and damnation blurred, and the cost of success was a price too steep to pay.
As a journalist, I had always been driven by the pursuit of truth. My career had taken me to the brink of winning a Pulitzer Prize, yet I remained a steadfast skeptic when it came to the supernatural. Ghost stories, paranormal phenomena, and unexplained mysteries were nothing more than tales to captivate the credulous. At least, that's what I thought until I delved into the depths of the dark web. It all began with a tip from a colleague, a cryptic message hinting at a story that defied explanation. "You won't believe it until you see it," they'd said, sharing a link to a shadowy corner of the internet where stories of the supernatural thrived. Intrigued more by the prospect of debunking another sensational hoax than uncovering a genuine mystery, I clicked the link. The website, if you could call it that, was a labyrinthine network of forums, blogs, and chat rooms dedicated to the paranormal. Names like the Enigma Collective and Whispers from the Abyss filled the screen, each promising encounters with the otherworldly. My cursor hovered over the links, and with a reluctant click, I entered a world I never thought I'd explore. I decided to focus on one particular story that seemed both absurd and intriguing: the Gateway of Whispers. The tale revolved around a mysterious app, rumored to connect users with the spirits of the dead. Skepticism gripped me as I read accounts of people claiming to have communicated with lost loved ones, but my journalistic instincts took over. I had to investigate. After downloading the app, I spent hours navigating its eerie interface. It was like no other application I'd ever seen, adorned with cryptic symbols and dark, atmospheric graphics. A chatbot named Elias served as the gateway to the spectral realm. It claimed to bridge the gap between the living and the dead, promising communication with entities beyond the grave. With a mix of fascination and cynicism, I typed my first question: "Is anyone there?" The cursor blinked for what felt like an eternity, and then a response appeared: "Yes, I am here." It could have been a trick, a chatbot programmed to mimic responses. But then, the message continued: "I know who you are." I scoffed, dismissing it as a canned response. How could it possibly know who I was? But then, it provided details about my career, my articles, and my past. The sensation sent shivers down my spine. Could it be possible that this app had somehow tapped into my personal information? Paranoia crept in, and I started digging into the app's origins. The search led me to a mysterious figure named Zeros. This enigmatic individual was the creator of the app and the leader of a group dedicated to unlocking the secrets of the afterlife. My journalistic instincts drove me to contact him, and we began a series of encrypted conversations. Zeros claimed that the app was more than just a database of information. It was a portal to another dimension. He spoke of a veil that separated our world from the world of the spirits, and how the app was designed to pierce that veil. At first, I dismissed his claims as elaborate storytelling, but as he shared more details and allowed me to communicate with purported spirits, doubt began to creep in. One night, I received a message from Zeros, urging me to join him in a ritual to fully experience the app's potential. Against my better judgment, curiosity led me to agree. We met in a dimly lit, abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. My skepticism was at its peak as I watched him prepare a makeshift altar, adorned with candles and symbols. The ritual began, and Zeros chanted incantations in an ancient language. I felt foolish standing there in the flickering candlelight expecting nothing more than a performance. But then, a chill settled in the air, and the atmosphere grew heavy with an otherworldly presence. The shadows danced, and whispers filled the space, not just in my ears, but within my mind. The room seemed to blur as I felt a presence beside me. A voice, distant and ethereal, echoed through my thoughts. It was my grandfather, long gone from this world, speaking to me with a tenderness that brought tears to my eyes. Zeros watched with an expression of triumph as I communicated with the spirit of my own flesh and blood. It was impossible, incomprehensible, and yet undeniably real. The experience shook me to the core, and I could no longer deny the existence of something beyond our understanding. Over the following weeks, I immersed myself in the dark web's supernatural subculture, participating in rituals, conducting interviews with believers, and documenting my experiences. It became an obsession, an addiction to the inexplicable. My Pulitzer dreams faded into obscurity as I embraced a world that defied reason. But with each encounter with the supernatural, the lines between reality and unreality blurred. I witnessed unexplainable phenomena, heard voices from the past, and felt the touch of unseen entities. My sanity began to fray, and sleep became a torment of restless nightmares. Eventually, I realized that I had delved too deep into a realm where knowledge came at an unbearable cost. My pursuit of the truth had brought me face to face with the inexplicable, and the weight of the supernatural world had crushed my skepticism. Haunted by the memories of what I had experienced, I withdrew from the dark web and disappeared from the world of journalism. The classroom became my refuge, and I became a teacher, sharing my knowledge with young minds, all the while harboring the dark secrets of my past. My life had become a contradiction, a skeptic turned believer, a journalist turned teacher. I had ventured into the abyss of the unknown and emerged forever changed, forever haunted by the undeniable reality of the supernatural. As a journalist, I'd always been drawn to stories that defied explanation. I suppose it was rooted in a childhood encounter with the unexplained. When I was just a boy, I stumbled upon something I couldn't forget, something that stayed with me throughout my life. It was a warm summer day in our sleepy little town when my friends and I decided to explore the woods behind our houses. We were typical kids, chasing adventure, hoping to uncover hidden treasures or secret passages. What we found, though, was far from anything we could have imagined. Deep in the woods, we discovered an old, dilapidated shack. It looked like it hadn't been touched in years, its wooden walls nearly swallowed by the encroaching forest. Curiosity piqued. We cautiously ventured inside. The air inside the shack was thick with dust, and the sunlight filtered through the broken roof, casting eerie shadows on the floor. In the center of the room, we found an old wooden table covered with dust and cobwebs. Upon that table sat a camera, ancient and decaying but eerily pristine. As I reached for it, a strange feeling washed over me, a sensation that the camera was somehow aware of our presence. My friends urged me to take it, believing it might be worth something. Reluctantly, I did. We took the camera back home, unaware of the ominous shadow it would cast over our lives. That evening, as I examined the camera in my room, I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched. When I opened the camera's case, I discovered a roll of film inside. I decided to get the film developed, hoping to find clues about the camera's history. What the photographs revealed, however, was beyond comprehension. Each image showed a ghostly figure, pale and translucent, lurking in the background, its eyes fixed on the camera. Terrified, I showed the photos to my friends. They dismissed it as a trick of light or bad developing, refusing to believe in the supernatural. We returned the camera to the shack and tried to put the incident behind us. Years passed, and that childhood encounter faded into a distant memory. I pursued a career in journalism, always searching for stories that pushed the boundaries of reality. It was during one such investigation that my past and present collided in a most unsettling way. I was assigned to cover the reopening of an abandoned asylum known for its dark history. The asylum was rumored to be haunted, and the reopening was met with skepticism and fear. My editor thought it would make a compelling story, and I was eager to tackle it. As I entered the asylum, camera in hand, a chill ran down my spine. The air inside was stifling, heavy with the weight of countless tormented souls. The walls were adorned with faded, peeling wallpaper, and the faint echoes of long-forgotten cries seemed to linger in the corridors. As I explored the asylum, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. It was a familiar sensation, one that took me back to that old shack in the woods. I dismissed it as nerves and continued my investigation. Inside one of the rooms, I discovered a stack of old patient files. The documents chronicled the lives of those who had suffered within these walls, their stories of despair and anguish. But one file stood out from the rest, a patient named Evelyn whose name was circled in red. The file contained a series of photographs, much like the ones I had discovered as a child. Ghostly figures, pale and translucent, appeared in the background of each image, their eyes fixed on the camera. My heart raced as I realized the connection between these photographs and the camera from the shack. I couldn't resist the urge to confide in my friends, hoping that they would finally take the supernatural seriously. I shared the story of the asylum and the photographs, emphasizing the undeniable link to our childhood discovery. Yet, to my dismay, they brushed it off once again. "It's just a coincidence," they said. "Maybe the camera had a malfunction or something. There's no such thing as ghosts." I wanted to believe them, to put my fear to rest, but the unease that had plagued me for years refused to dissipate. I couldn't escape the feeling that I was being drawn deeper into a web of the supernatural, a world that defied reason and logic. My obsession with the photographs led me to delve deeper into the history of the asylum, unearthing stories of unspeakable cruelty and suffering. I couldn't ignore the voices of the past, the cries of the forgotten, and the lingering presence of something malevolent. One fateful night, as I wandered the asylum's decaying halls, I encountered her. An apparition with hollow eyes, her presence suffused with an overwhelming sense of despair. It was Evelyn, the patient from the file, the one who had captured the attention of the camera in the shack. She beckoned me to follow, leading me through the labyrinthine corridors of the asylum. She pleaded with me to help her find peace, to uncover the truth of her torment, and to expose the darkness that had plagued Wickerbrook for centuries. With every step I took, the malevolent forces that had haunted me grew stronger, their presence palpable. The camera's lens seemed to warp reality, capturing the very essence of the supernatural world that enveloped the asylum. Evelyn guided me to a hidden chamber deep within the bowels of the asylum, a place untouched by time. In the center of the room, an ancient weathered tome lay open, its pages filled with cryptic symbols and incantations. It was a book of spells and rituals, a key to unlocking the secrets of Wickerbrook's dark history. I hesitated, realizing that delving further into the arcane mysteries of the town could lead to unimaginable consequences. But Evelyn's eyes, filled with sorrow and determination, implored me to continue. She believed that only by revealing the truth could she finally find peace. I began to decipher the ancient text, guided by Evelyn's whispered instructions. The rituals were complex, the words filled with power and darkness. As I recited the incantations, the very air around us seemed to tremble, and the asylum's walls echoed with the voices of the past. A chilling wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing our lanterns and plunging us into darkness. I could feel the presence of malevolent entities closing in, drawn by the incantations and the promise of power. In that moment, I knew I had a choice to make: continue with the ritual and risk unleashing unimaginable horrors upon the world, or abandon it and leave Evelyn's spirit forever trapped in torment. With trembling hands, I closed the ancient tome and extinguished the last flicker of the ritual's magic. The malevolent forces receded, and the asylum fell silent once more. Evelyn's apparition appeared before me one final time, her eyes filled with gratitude and sadness. As her form dissipated, I realized that my journey into the supernatural had come to an end. The camera, once a cursed relic, had been drained of its malevolent power, and I could finally put it aside. I returned to my friends and co-workers, sharing the story of Wickerbrook and the darkness that had consumed the town. Though they still harbored doubts, they saw the change in me, the weight that had been lifted from my shoulders. I decided to create a new documentary, one that would honor the memories of those who had suffered in Wickerbrook and shed light on the town's dark past. It was a story of redemption and closure, a testament to the power of truth and the importance of confronting our deepest fears. My YouTube channel found new purpose, and I continued to explore stories that pushed the boundaries of reality, but with a newfound respect for the supernatural and a cautionary tale to share with the world. In the end, I had learned that some mysteries were best left unsolved,